Imagine if you could stop worrying about the past or stressing over the future. What if the key to true peace, happiness, and success was simply to live in the present moment? Sounds simple, right? But for most of us, it's incredibly hard. Well, what if I told you that the secret to unlocking your full potential lies in just one moment, the now? Today, we're diving into a book that can completely change the way you see your life. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This book is a guide to breaking free from your mind's endless chatter and stepping into a life of true freedom, peace, and purpose. But how do you do that? How do you stop being controlled by your thoughts? That's exactly what we'll be exploring in today's video. So, if you're ready to stop living in the past or future and finally start living in the now, hit that play button. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Chapter 1. Break free from the prison of your mind. Have you ever stopped to think about how much time you spend trapped in your own mind? It's a place where you're constantly replaying the past, worrying about the future, and endlessly evaluating everything happening around you. The mind, with all its thoughts, judgments, and distractions, often feels like a prison we can't escape. But here's the truth: we don't have to live in that mental cage. The key to breaking free lies in the simple act of awareness. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now introduces us to the idea that our true freedom is not found in the endless chatter of the mind, but in the present moment, the here and now. The present is where we are truly alive, yet it's so easy to ignore. Most of us are far more focused on what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. We miss out on life as it unfolds right in front of us. But what if there's another way? What if we could stop chasing after thoughts and instead become aware of the space between them? That space is where freedom exists. It's where we can truly experience life in its fullness. When you start paying attention to how often your mind pulls you into the past or the future, you'll realize how little time you spend in the present moment. For example, you could be sitting here, reading these words, but your mind may be elsewhere thinking about your to-do list, a past conversation, or something you've yet to do. The mind is always busy, but it's only when you let go of the constant noise that you can hear the quiet, the peace, the now. The truth is, most people don't realize that they are constantly being led by their thoughts. These thoughts, fueled by the ego, keep us trapped. They create a sense of identity, a sense of who we think we are. But that identity is just a construct. It's a mental story we tell ourselves. And as Tolle suggests, this mental identity is not who we are at our core. We are the awareness behind the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. Think about it. How much time have you spent worrying about the future, thinking about things that haven't even happened yet? Or regretting the past, thinking about what you should have done differently? All of this takes us away from the present moment. The more we get caught up in those thoughts, the further we move away from who we truly are. Now, take a moment to look around you. Notice the things in the room, the sounds you hear, your body's sensations. These are all part of the present moment. But how often do you fully pay attention to them? How often do you just breathe, taking in the world as it is right now, without any thoughts or judgments about it? When you begin to live in the present, something remarkable happens. You break free from the prison of your mind. The prison is that endless loop of thoughts that keep you in a state of stress, confusion, and suffering. When you break free, you realize that you are not your thoughts. Instead, you are the observer of those thoughts. And that awareness, that ability to just be, is the key to peace. Tolle calls this presence the ability to just be in the moment, without the constant interference of your mind. When you experience life through the lens of presence, you discover a peace that transcends everything. You are no longer chasing after the next thing, or holding on to past mistakes or future anxieties. You just are, and in that being, life becomes more meaningful, more fulfilling. The first step to breaking free is realizing that you have the power to control your mind, not the other way around. The next time you catch yourself lost in thought, pause. Just stop for a moment and take a breath. Bring yourself back to the present. Let go of any judgments, worries, or stories you've created in your head. Feel your body, notice what's around you, and embrace the now. The key is to start small. When you're doing everyday tasks like walking, eating, or even washing dishes, try to do them with full awareness. Feel the sensations in your body as you move. Notice the details around you. The more you practice being present, the more you'll find that the mental noise starts to quiet down, and the quieter your mind gets, the more clarity and peace you'll experience. When you learn to break free from the prison of your mind, you begin to live with a sense of freedom. You begin to experience the true joy of being alive. No longer bound by the past or the future, you can embrace the present moment with gratitude and grace. So, as you move through your day, remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. By learning to break free from the mind and embrace the present moment, you'll begin to experience life as it was always meant to be: free, peaceful, and full of possibility. Chapter 2. The Power of Now. Living in the present moment. We've all heard the phrase, live in the moment, but have you ever really stopped to think about what that means? How do we actually live in the moment? It sounds easy, right? But in practice, it's one of the hardest things to do. Our minds are constantly jumping from one thought to the next, and before we know it, we've missed the present completely. The power of now isn't just about being present when it's convenient. It's about fully embracing the present moment, no matter what is happening around you. In the second chapter of Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, he dives deep into the importance of being in the now. The present moment is the only true reality. Everything else, the past and the future, is just a mental construct. When we dwell on the past, we carry old pain and regret, often without even realizing it. When we focus on the future, we create anticipation and fear. But the moment we shift our attention to the present, we release all that mental baggage. This is where peace lives. Let's break this down. The mind loves to escape into the past or the future because it doesn't want to deal with what's happening right now. The mind distracts us with judgments, worries, and stories, keeping us from the richness of the present moment. Think about it. How many times have you been eating your lunch and found yourself thinking about a conversation you had yesterday, or something you need to do later? You're physically present, but your mind is somewhere else, somewhere not in the now. That's where we lose touch with life, in the mind's distractions. The key here is awareness, the awareness that you have a choice in each moment. You can either let your mind carry you away with its stories, or you can choose to stay grounded in the reality of this moment. It's as simple as noticing where your thoughts are. Are they in the past? Are they in the future? Or are they in the present, right here, right now? When you bring your attention back to the present, even for a moment, you'll begin to feel a shift. Tal teaches us that we are not our minds. The mind is simply a tool, a function of the body, but we often allow it to control us. You are the awareness behind the mind. Imagine that for a second. You are not your thoughts, but the space in which they arise. This realization is a game changer. It's the beginning of true freedom. The moment you stop identifying with the thoughts in your head, you begin to experience life as it is unfiltered, undistorted, and filled with pure presence. Take a moment to be still. Close your eyes for a second and notice the thoughts running through your mind. Are they about the past or the future, or are they simply about what's happening right now? By observing your thoughts without judgment, you start to detach from them. You're no longer dragged along by the current of your mind. Instead, you become the observer, simply witnessing the flow of thoughts without reacting. The more you practice this, the more you'll find that peace doesn't come from getting rid of thoughts, but from simply letting them be. Don't resist your thoughts, just notice them. When you do, you'll discover that they lose their power over you. They no longer control your emotional state or determine your actions. Instead, you're free to choose how you respond to them, from a place of calm awareness. Another key idea that Tal emphasizes is that time is an illusion. Think about it. The future doesn't exist yet, and the past is just a memory. The only thing that's real is right now. When you get caught up in thinking about the future or the past, you forget that you already have everything you need in the present. The present moment is where your power lies. It's the only place where you can take action, make a decision, or experience joy. So why waste it? By shifting your focus to the present, you start to break free from the mental patterns that keep you stuck. Whether it's the endless cycle of worrying about the future or dwelling on the mistakes of the past, living in the now allows you to release those thought patterns. You start to see that life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. When you're in the present moment, you're open to life as it unfolds. You're not trying to control it or mentally manipulate it into something it's not. As you learn to be present, the ordinary moments of life begin to feel extraordinary. The simplicity of a breath, the sound of birds chirping, the feel of the ground beneath your feet, all of these become sources of deep connection and joy. When you're truly present, you begin to realize that this moment is enough. You don't need anything else to experience the fullness of life. The present is complete, just as it is. Here's the thing, being in the now doesn't mean ignoring the future or the past. It means giving them their proper place, instead of letting them control your life. You can still plan for the future, reflect on the past, but without becoming consumed by them. The present moment is the anchor that keeps you grounded, no matter what time or place your mind wants to go. Living in the present isn't always easy. It requires practice, awareness, and conscious effort. But with each moment you dedicate to the now, you build a new habit, a new way of living. The more you practice being present, the more naturally it will come to you. And with that practice comes true peace, because when you're no longer dragged around by your mind, you finally experience the power of now. Chapter 3. The ego, your mind's false identity. Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions, constantly chasing something you can't quite define? That might be your ego, quietly pulling the strings of your mind and life. The ego, that false identity you often identify with, isn't just a concept. It's a way of being that traps you in a cycle of desire, attachment, and conflict. In Chapter 3 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle explains how the ego creates a false sense of self by identifying you with your mind, thoughts, and material possessions. He tells us that the ego is an illusion, a construct created by the mind to give you a sense of identity. But here's the catch. When you identify with your ego, you lose touch with your true essence, the essence of who you really are, beneath all the thoughts, labels, and beliefs. Let's take a moment to explore what the ego really is. Your ego is the part of your mind that thrives on separation. It creates an identity based on your past experiences, your thoughts, and your need for approval. This identity, however, is not real. It is constantly changing, influenced by external factors, and often driven by fear, insecurity, and a deep need to protect itself. It's the part of you that says, "I am this person," based on your job, your relationships, your possessions, and your experiences. But the truth is, you are not your ego. Imagine this: every time you feel hurt by criticism, angry about someone's behavior, or desperate to prove yourself, it's the ego speaking. It thrives on external validation, constantly measuring you against others. The ego can never be satisfied because it's always chasing something outside of itself, whether it's status, money, love, or recognition. But the more you chase, the more empty you feel. Why? Because you're identifying with a false identity, one that is inherently unfulfilled and separate from your true self. Tao teaches us that the ego is a master of disguise. It can show up in different ways, through pride, through fear, or even through seemingly positive emotions like ambition or attachment to success. You may think you're just being ambitious, striving for success or a better life. But if it's driven by the desire to feel more important or better than others, that's the ego at play. True success comes from inner peace, not external validation. Let's break it down. The ego feeds on stories and labels. From a young age, we are conditioned to define ourselves by what we do and have. You're taught to identify with your job, your appearance, your family background, and your achievements. But all of these things are external factors that can change. You may lose your job, gain weight, or go through difficult times. But none of these things define your true essence. The truth is, you are not your ego. Tao invites us to separate ourselves from this false identity. Instead of identifying with your thoughts and emotions, start noticing them without attaching to them. You are the observer, not the emotions or thoughts that arise. When you learn to detach from the ego, you create space for your true self to emerge, a self that is not defined by external labels, opinions, or experiences. Here's an example. Have you ever noticed how some people get extremely defensive when their beliefs or opinions are challenged? That's the ego at work. The ego feels threatened when its identity is questioned. But when you detach from the ego, you no longer need to defend your opinions or feel the need to prove your worth. You can listen with an open mind without reacting or feeling personally attacked. This is the freedom that comes from letting go of the ego's grip. When you learn to live beyond the ego, life becomes simpler. You stop chasing approval, stop comparing yourself to others, and stop living in constant fear of failure or judgment. You no longer need to identify with your material possessions or your social status. Instead, you connect with a deeper sense of peace and self-worth, a sense that comes from within, not from external validation. Tao also emphasizes that the ego thrives on conflict. Every time you feel frustrated, angry, or upset, it's because your ego is in control, pushing you into a state of separation. It tells you that you're different, better, or worse than others. It creates the illusion of competition, division, and judgment. But when you let go of the ego, you experience unity and connection with others, understanding that, at a deeper level, we are all part of the same consciousness. The key to overcoming the ego is acceptance, accepting yourself and others as you are, without judgment or comparison. Let go of the need to control or label people and situations. Instead, focus on being present and open to whatever arises. In doing so, you step into your true power, the power of being connected with the moment, with the world around you, and most importantly, with yourself. As you begin to let go of the ego, you'll notice a shift in how you experience life. You'll feel lighter, more peaceful, and more connected to your true self. The constant noise in your mind will fade, and you'll begin to experience life as it is, without the filters of judgment, fear, and attachment. Tao teaches us that the ego is the source of all suffering, whether it's pain from loss, the frustration of unmet expectations, or the anger you feel when someone disagrees with you. It's all rooted in the ego. When you let go of your identification with it, you let go of the suffering it causes. So how do we begin to free ourselves from the ego's grip? Start with awareness. Notice when the ego is at play, when you feel defensive, judgmental, or disconnected from others. Recognize these moments for what they are, ego-driven reactions. As you become more aware, you can choose to observe the ego without attachment. You can choose to respond from a place of peace, compassion, and presence, instead of reacting from a place of fear or insecurity. In essence, overcoming the ego is about embracing your true self, the one that is united with the present moment and connected to the world. As you release the ego's grip, you'll experience greater freedom, peace, and happiness. And in this state, you'll discover that life itself is enough. You no longer need to seek fulfillment from external sources, because true fulfillment comes from within. Chapter 4. The present moment, the only true reality. Imagine for a moment. What if everything you've been chasing, all your plans, and the constant rush to the future were not as important as the moment you're in right now? What if your peace, your happiness, and your true self could only be found in this very moment? In Chapter 4 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle brings us face to face with one of the most profound and simple truths. The present moment is the only true reality. All of our past and future worries, regrets, and anxieties are constructs of the mind, but the present moment is real, it's tangible, and it's where life truly unfolds. Think about your daily routine for a second. How much of it is spent in the past, revisiting old memories, or worrying about the future? It's easy to live our lives in the not now, thinking about what's coming next, dwelling on what's gone before, but this constant focus on what is not here takes us away from the only reality that exists, the present. Tal explains that the mind is constantly pulling us into the past and future, creating a cycle of worry, regret, and anticipation. We become trapped in this mental loop, convinced that happiness, fulfillment, or peace is just around the corner, in some future event or circumstance. But the truth is, the future never arrives, and the past is already gone. The only thing that is real is the here and now. Let's explore the idea of the present moment. The present is where life actually happens. Whether you're at work, eating, talking to a loved one, or simply breathing, everything is happening in the present. Yet, we often fail to fully experience it because we're distracted by past memories or future projections. The beauty of life exists in the now. It's the richness of every experience, the sights, sounds, and sensations around you that is only accessible when you are fully present. One powerful example of this is mindfulness. Have you ever truly stopped to appreciate a cup of coffee or the warmth of the sun on your skin? These moments are precious, but we often rush through them. not fully experiencing the joy and peace they offer because we're lost in our thoughts about something else. Mindfulness is the practice of returning to the present moment, of being fully engaged in whatever you are doing, whether it's eating, walking, or just sitting quietly. Tal teaches us that the key to true happiness lies in surrendering to the present moment, in constantly seeking or striving for something more. When you are fully present, you are free from the endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. You stop waiting for life to happen and begin experiencing it in its fullness right now. Here's a thought. If everything is happening now, why wait for a better moment? We often think that happiness is dependent on external circumstances, such as getting a promotion, going on a vacation, or achieving some big goal. But Tao reminds us that the present moment is where peace, contentment, and happiness exist. You can access it right now, without having to wait for the perfect future or linger on the imperfect past. Let's get practical here. How do you actually live in the present moment? First, it requires awareness. Start noticing your thoughts and when they pull you out of the present. For example, if you find yourself thinking about what you need to do later, or ruminating on something that happened earlier, gently bring yourself back to the present. Observe your surroundings, notice the sensations of the moment, and simply be with whatever is happening right now. Let go of the urge to plan, worry, or judge. Another powerful tool Tal mentions is the practice of breathing. By focusing on your breath, you bring your attention away from the distractions of the mind and into the present moment. Breathing is always happening in the now. It is a constant reminder that the present is all we have. The challenge we face is that the ego loves to pull us out of the present, telling us that the now is not enough. It convinces us that we need more, that happiness is just one step away in some future event or accomplishment. But Tao shows us that this constant striving is what keeps us trapped in the cycle of unhappiness. You don't need to go anywhere or become anyone to be happy. You already have everything you need to be content right now. Think of it this way. If you are constantly focused on what comes next, you miss the magic that is happening right now. The future is always elusive. It's an idea in your mind, but the present moment is where all experiences, sensations, and connections happen. Life is not over there somewhere. It's right here. One important point that Tao makes is that the present moment is where we find our true self. When we stop identifying with our thoughts, ego, and past experiences, we can connect to a deeper part of ourselves that is beyond the mind. This part of you is always present, always peaceful, and always whole. It's the part of you that is not defined by external circumstances or labels. It's your true essence. Living in the present doesn't mean abandoning your goals or responsibilities. It means engaging with life fully without letting the past or future steal your attention. It means being present with your work, relationships, and even your moments of rest. By focusing on the task at hand, you're able to bring your best self to each moment, and that leads to true success and fulfillment. When you become fully present, you stop living for the future and begin living for the now. This shift in perspective doesn't just improve your daily life, changes how you interact with everything around you. You start to notice things you never saw before, and you experience life with greater clarity, joy, and peace. In summary, the present moment is the only true reality. It is where life happens, where peace resides, and where joy and fulfillment can be found. By shifting your focus away from the future and the past, and embracing the present, you tap into a deeper sense of self that has always been there, waiting for you to notice. The key to experiencing true happiness, peace, and connection is living fully in the now. I understand now that you're looking for a more natural flow without sudden or formal headings. You want it to feel more like a seamless, engaging conversation. Let me adjust the structure accordingly to match that tone. I'll now present it more fluidly without section breaks or headings. Chapter 5. Discovering the power of silence. Have you ever truly paused for a moment just to be? In a world filled with distractions, we rarely stop. The constant buzz of our phones, the never-ending cycle of our thoughts, and the demands of everyday life seem to never slow down. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking true peace and clarity isn't found by doing more, but by doing less? That's where silence comes in. It's not just the absence of sound, but a profound space where we connect with our deeper selves. In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle talks about the incredible power of silence. But what does that mean? It's more than just being in a quiet room. It's about stepping out of the endless chatter in our minds and embracing a space where we can truly connect with the present moment. And let me tell you, when you experience it, it's life-changing. Now, imagine this. You've just had a chaotic day at work, running from task to task. Your mind is racing. Your to-do list is never-ending. Then, you sit down in a quiet place. Close your eyes and just breathe. Suddenly, it's as if everything around you fades away. In that silence, you start to feel something profound. A stillness, a peace that feels so deep, it almost feels like you're waking up to something bigger. This is exactly what Tal describes in his book, The Feeling of Stepping Out of the Noise and Into Your True Self. For many of us, silence is intimidating. We've been taught to always be doing something, to fill every moment with productivity, conversation, or entertainment. But Tal challenges this mindset. He urges us to sit in the silence, to truly experience it, and to realize that it's in that space we can hear ourselves. We live in a society that thrives on distraction. And let's be real, it's hard to escape. But the reality is that our minds are often clouded with noise, both external and internal. And it's in this noise that the ego thrives. The ego loves the distractions, the constant need to be entertained or validated. But silence is the ego's worst enemy. When we sit in stillness, we stop identifying with the thoughts that pass through our heads. We stop attaching meaning to them, which weakens the ego's grip on us. Think about the last time you were completely alone in your thoughts. No music, no social media, no one else's opinion clouding your mind. What did you notice? Chances are, you began to notice the rhythm of your own breath, the subtle stillness of the moment. You became present. That's the magic of silence. It doesn't just allow you to exist in the moment. It allows you to experience it in its purest form. Tal suggests that the more we embrace this silence, the more we step into the present. And that's what now truly is the present moment, not clouded by past regrets or future worries. In silence, we reconnect with this moment, with our essence, and in doing so, we start to experience life in a way that's far more profound. But let's not pretend this is easy. Silence can be uncomfortable at first. The ego will fight it. And the mind will try to convince you to fill the space with something, anything, to avoid confronting the stillness. But if you persist, if you make the choice to sit with your thoughts and just be, you'll realize that silence is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. When we allow ourselves to sit in silence, We're no longer slaves to our thoughts. The more we practice this stillness, the more we begin to realize that we are not our thoughts. This realization is liberating. It frees us from the chains of overthinking and constant mental chatter. And it's in this space of freedom that we can truly experience the now, where everything else fades into the background, and we can simply be. It's important to note that embracing silence doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It's not about isolating yourself or avoiding necessary conversations or actions. Silence, in Tal's eyes, is about finding that inner stillness, regardless of what's happening around you. It's about connecting with the present moment in all its depth, without getting lost in the distractions that try to pull you away. And what happens when you integrate silence into your daily life? You start to notice how it enhances your relationships. You'll find that you don't always need words to connect with people. Sometimes, just being there without the need to fill every moment with conversation creates a deeper bond. Silence in relationships isn't about avoiding communication. It's about connecting on a level that words often can't reach. Let's be real, relationships are tough. We often communicate out of habit, out of a desire to be understood. But when we embrace the silence, we create space for something deeper. We allow ourselves and others to just be, without the pressure of filling every second with words. This, my friends, is the power of silence in relationships. When we stop talking, we start connecting. Now, you might be wondering how to bring this idea into your life. It doesn't have to be a big, dramatic change. It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to sit quietly. Start with 5 minutes, no phone, no distractions. Just be present with yourself. Notice your thoughts as they come and go. But don't attach to them. This is a practice. And as you get better at sitting with yourself, you'll notice the changes. Your mind will become clearer, your body more relaxed, and your connection to the present moment stronger. In conclusion, silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of awareness, the presence of peace. When we embrace silence, we embrace a deeper connection to the present, to ourselves, and to the world around us. It's in these quiet moments that we can hear the truth of who we are and experience life in its purest form. Chapter 6. Letting go of the past, the power of release. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a mistake, a failure, or an event from your past that you wish you could change? We all do it, don't we? Our minds are experts at holding on to the past, whether it's a regret, a missed opportunity, or an unresolved conflict. These past experiences often shape the way we live today. But what if I told you that by holding on to the past, you're limiting your potential to experience the present and future? That's what Eckhart Tolle dives into in The Power of Now. He emphasizes that one of the greatest ways to free ourselves is by letting go of the past, and today I'm going to show you why this is the key to true freedom. The past, for many of us, feels like a heavy weight. We carry it around, often without even realizing it. The pain from past relationships, the anger from old wounds, the disappointment from dreams left unfulfilled. These memories can take root in our minds and become part of our identity. And here's the catch. We don't have to consciously think about these memories for them to affect us. They silently influence our reactions, our decisions, and our feelings. And, what's worse, we let these past experiences define us. Tal teaches us that, by holding on to the past, we're essentially living in it. We're not living in the present moment. The more we cling to old experiences, the more we're stuck in a loop that prevents us from moving forward. Imagine trying to drive a car while looking only in the rearview mirror. How dangerous would that be? Yet, that's exactly what we do when we continue to focus on past events instead of embracing the now. So, how do we release this grip the past has on us? Tal doesn't say it's easy, but he provides a transformative path to healing. The first step is becoming aware of our attachment to the past. And that awareness is crucial because most of us don't even realize how much of our life is driven by past memories. The moment we realize that we're allowing past pain to control our present, we have the power to change that. One powerful tool Tal offers is simply acknowledging the present moment. To stop defining ourselves by past experiences, we need to disconnect from them. We need to recognize that the person we were yesterday doesn't have to define who we are today. And this is key by practicing mindfulness, by focusing on the now. We begin to let go. Every moment you choose to be present, you're slowly detaching yourself from the past and giving yourself permission to move forward. Now, it's not just the painful memories we need to release. It's also the attachments to past successes, past identities, and even past relationships. When we live through the lens of who we were, we're not open to discovering who we could be. Many of us hold on to old identities, thinking that's the person we are meant to be forever. But Tal teaches us that true freedom comes when we let go of those identities and allow ourselves to evolve. I'll be the first to admit it's not easy. Letting go of the past can feel like you're giving up a part of yourself. But think about it. If you cling to something that's already happened, you're preventing yourself from fully experiencing what is happening right now. That's the trap. The beauty of life is found in the present, and we can't access that beauty when we're tethered to past events or former versions of ourselves. Here's where Tal's teachings shine through. He encourages us to observe our emotions without becoming them. Instead of letting anger, regret, or guilt define us, we can acknowledge those feelings, experience them, and then release them. It's like holding water in your hand. If you grip too tightly, the water slips away. But if you allow it to flow, you can hold it with ease. It's the same with emotions. When we grasp too tightly to past emotions, they overwhelm us. But when we allow them to pass through, we release their grip over our present. Now, let me share something personal. I used to live a lot in the past. I had certain regrets, relationships that didn't work out, and some goals I had left unachieved. These things often colored my perception of myself. But the moment I started focusing on the present and what I could do now, not what I had done in the past, something shifted. I began to feel lighter, more at peace with myself. I wasn't defined by old wounds or past failures. I was simply present, living in the moment. Tal also talks about the importance of forgiveness in letting go. And I want to emphasize that forgiveness isn't about excusing the other person's behavior or pretending that hurt didn't happen. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the emotional prison of the past. By forgiving others and most importantly, forgiving ourselves, we release the power that old grudges have over us. In a way, letting go of the past is an act of self-love. It's a way to give yourself permission to heal, to grow, and to step into a future that is wide open, with possibilities. It's about accepting that we are not our past mistakes or successes. We are who we choose to be right now, in this very moment. And with that choice, we have the power to change our lives. So, to summarize, letting go of the past is not just about moving on from hurt or regret. It's about breaking free from the chains that hold you back from fully experiencing life. It's about releasing the identities that no longer serve you and embracing the person you are becoming. The present moment is where true freedom lies. And when you stop looking in the rearview mirror and start looking ahead, you'll realize just how much life has to offer. Tal's message is simple yet profound. By releasing the past, you open yourself to the full experience of the present moment. And when you do, you'll discover that the present is where the power to change your life really resides. Chapter 7. The Present Moment. Your gateway to freedom. Imagine for the moment that you are completely free from the worries about what happened yesterday and free from the anxieties about what may come tomorrow. You're simply living in the moment, experiencing life as it is. Sounds peaceful, right? Well, that's exactly what Eckhart Tolle is inviting us to do in The Power of Now. In this chapter, we're going to explore the present moment as your ultimate gateway to freedom. It's not some distant future or some grand achievement that will bring you happiness. It's here. Right now, most of us, though, don't live in the present. We're caught up in the endless cycle of thoughts about the past and the future. We carry around mental baggage, constantly replaying old memories or planning for what's to come. But when we do this, we miss the magic of the present. In fact, we completely disconnect from life as it's happening. Tal calls this the disease of the mind, where we allow ourselves to be controlled by thoughts, leaving no room to truly live. Here's the thing, your mind is a powerful tool, but it's also a tricky one. It loves to keep you distracted. It thrives on thoughts that lead to stress, worry, and fear. But the truth is, the mind isn't interested in your happiness. It's interested in keeping you in its grip. And this is where most of us get stuck. We believe that by thinking, worrying, and planning, we can control life. But the reality is that the more we get lost in thought, the less we experience the beauty of the world around us. Tal's message is clear. The present moment is the only place where true peace, joy, and freedom exist. When we are in the present, we experience life in its fullest form. The past is gone, the future is unknown, and the present is where life is unfolding. When we stop resisting the moment, we open ourselves to the endless possibilities that exist. In the now, you might be thinking, but how do I stay in the present when my mind is constantly racing with thoughts? Great question. Tal suggests a simple yet profound solution. Awareness. By practicing awareness, we bring ourselves back to the present. It's about observing our thoughts without identifying with them. Instead of becoming consumed by them, we learn to watch them come and go, like clouds drifting across the sky. The more we do this, the more we realize that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them. This is the key to being present. I want to take a moment to clarify something here. Being present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or avoiding planning for the future. It's not about being mindless or disengaged. What it means is fully embracing the moment you are in right now, without getting lost in what has already happened or what is yet to come. It means accepting that the only moment that truly exists is this one. When you approach life this way, you stop struggling with it. You stop resisting what is and start appreciating it for what it is. And let me tell you, there's magic in this. When you start living in the present, you begin to notice things you never saw before, the way the light dances on the water, the sounds of nature around you, or even the warmth of your breath. Life becomes more vibrant, more real, and more full of possibility. It's as if a veil lifts, and you start to see things in a whole new way. Tal talks about the idea of surrendering to the present moment. Now, I know that might sound a bit extreme, But it's not about giving up or resigning yourself to whatever happens. It's about letting go of the need to control and allowing life to unfold naturally. It's about trusting that the universe, or life, is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. And in doing so, you open yourself up to a deeper experience of life. A powerful practice that Tal recommends is focusing on your breath. The breath is the anchor that connects us to the present moment. When you focus on your breath, you bring yourself back to the now, to the life that is happening right in front of you. Whether you're walking, sitting, or lying down, simply pay attention to your breath. Feel the air as it enters and leaves your body. This simple act can be incredibly grounding and calming. It's a reminder that you're alive and that the present is all we have. One thing I love about Tal's teachings is that they are practical. It's easy to get caught up in abstract ideas, but Tal gives us tools to implement change. He doesn't just tell us that the present moment is important, he shows us how to live it. And the beauty of it is that the more you practice being present, the easier it becomes. It's like a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. Here's a challenge for you. For the next few days, try to catch yourself whenever you're lost in thought about the past or the future. Bring yourself back to the present moment. You can do this by focusing on your breath or by simply observing what's around you. The more you practice, the more you'll begin to experience life as it is, instead of through the lens of past experiences or future worries. Now, I know that life can get overwhelming sometimes. We all have responsibilities, challenges, and concerns. But when we live in the present, we find that we have more energy and clarity to handle those challenges. We stop being weighed down by the past, and we stop living in fear of the future. Instead, we face each moment with a sense of peace and openness. In closing, I want to leave you with this. The present moment is where your true power lies. It's where life is happening right now, and it's where you can find true peace and freedom. The past is gone, and the future is yet to come. The only thing that's real is this moment. So, take a deep breath, embrace it, and start living in the now. Because when you do, everything changes. Chapter 8. The Mind. Your greatest tool or your greatest enemy, and the power of now. Eckhart Tolle reveals that the mind can be both a powerful tool for creativity and understanding and a relentless source of suffering and confusion. The key, he suggests, is not to eliminate the mind, but to transform your relationship with it. In this chapter, we'll delve into how the mind works, how it can control you, and how you can regain control by becoming more aware of it. Let's start with a simple but profound statement. You are not your mind. I know this might sound like a strange idea, but bear with me. We tend to identify ourselves with our thoughts, our likes, dislikes, opinions, and judgments. But Tal argues, these are just the thoughts of the mind, not who we truly are. In fact, most of what we think about is irrelevant, unimportant, and often even harmful. Yet, we continue to live our lives as though we are the sum of our thoughts. The mind is constantly churning out thoughts, creating stories about the past and the future. It keeps us engaged in mental activity that pulls us away from the present. Most of the time, we are lost in thought, going through the motions of life without ever truly experiencing it. This is the mind at work, and it often keeps us from the peace and freedom we seek. But the key to freeing ourselves from the mind's control lies in awareness. Tal stresses that awareness is the first step in transcending the mind. By becoming aware of our thoughts, we begin to detach from them. Instead of identifying with our thoughts and letting them control us, we start to see them for what they are, just thoughts. They come and go, and they do not define us. This awareness creates a space between us and our thoughts, allowing us to experience life beyond the mind's constant chatter. One of the most important things Tal teaches is that the mind loves to create problems. It thrives on conflict, fear, and uncertainty. It constantly generates worry about the future or regret about the past. But when we become aware of this tendency, we can begin to see how the mind is working against us. We can start to question the validity of our thoughts. Are these thoughts helping us? Are they bringing us peace or creating suffering? The mind also has a tendency to project its fears and insecurities onto the world. When we are trapped in the mind's grip, we often see the world through a lens of fear, judgment, and defensiveness. We project our internal struggles onto the people and situations around us. But, Tal explains, when we become aware of the mind's projections, we can choose not to engage with them. We can look at life with fresh eyes, without the filter of our past conditioning. But how do we begin to break free from this cycle? Tal offers a simple yet powerful tool: presence. The more we practice being present, the less power the mind has over us. When we are fully engaged in the present moment, the mind falls away. We stop identifying with our thoughts, and instead, we experience life directly. This presence, Tal argues, is the gateway to true freedom. It's also important to note that the mind is not inherently bad. It's a tool that can be used for great things: creativity, problem-solving, and critical thinking. But when the mind takes over and begins to dominate our lives, it becomes an obstacle to our peace and happiness. The key is not to reject the mind, but to use it in a way that serves us, rather than enslaves us. One of the ways we can use the mind to our advantage is by practicing mindfulness. This involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment or distraction. When we practice mindfulness, we start to see how often the mind pulls us away from the present. We become more aware of our habitual patterns of thought and behavior. And with this awareness, we can begin to change them. Mindfulness can take many forms. It could be as simple as paying attention to your breath or focusing on the sensations in your body. It could be as complex as engaging in deep meditation or mindfulness practices. The key is to bring your attention to the present moment, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. When we do this, the mind has less room to control us. Tal also speaks about the importance of surrendering to the present moment. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to whatever happens. It means accepting the present moment as it is, without trying to change it or resist it. When we surrender, we stop fighting with the mind's constant flow of thoughts. Instead of trying to control the moment, we allow it to unfold naturally. This is where true peace lies. Another concept Tal introduces is the idea of the pain body. The pain body is the accumulation of all the emotional pain and suffering we've experienced throughout our lives. It lives in the body, often manifesting as tension or discomfort. The pain body feeds off negative emotions, and the mind often activates it by triggering thoughts that bring up past wounds. But when we become aware of the pain body and the mind's role in activating it, we can begin to dissolve it. The key is to stay present and observe the pain without identifying with it. This awareness allows us to release the emotional charge and find peace. At the end of this chapter, I want you to remember this key idea: the mind is a tool, not the master. When we allow the mind to control us, we become lost in a world of thoughts, judgments, and fears. But when we practice awareness and presence, we begin to free ourselves from the mind's grip, and that is where true peace, happiness, and freedom can be found. Chapter 9. Letting Go of the Ego, the Path to True Freedom in The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle takes us on a journey of self-discovery, asking us to question the very nature of our identity. This chapter is about something many of us struggle with: our ego. Tolle explains that the ego is the false self, the collection of thoughts, labels, and judgments that we associate with who we are. It's the part of us that clings to identification with our possessions, our achievements, and even our past pain. But true freedom, Tolle argues, can only be achieved by letting go of the ego and the constant need to define ourselves. At its core, the ego is a creation of the mind. It feeds on the belief that we are separate from others, that we are our thoughts, our bodies, our roles in life. It thrives on comparison, judgment, and the illusion of control. But when we let go of these attachments, we discover something far deeper and more powerful: our true self. So what does it mean to let go of the ego? It doesn't mean that we lose our individuality or stop caring about the things we value. Instead, it means releasing the identification with the false self, the idea that we are the sum of our thoughts, emotions, and material possessions. The ego wants to constantly affirm its existence, but Tolle teaches us that we can live freely by stepping out of the ego's grip and connecting with the present moment. One of the biggest challenges with the ego is that it is insidious. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. It can show up in small, subtle ways through our need for approval, our desire to be right, or our attachment to our own story. Tolle invites us to become more aware of these patterns in our daily lives. When we react out of defensiveness or insecurity, we are giving power to the ego. But when we pause, breathe, and simply observe, we begin to separate ourselves from these reactive patterns. Tolle also introduces the concept of the pain body as an extension of the ego. The pain body is made up of emotional baggage, the unresolved hurt and suffering we carry from the past. The ego feeds on this pain, constantly reminding us of past wounds and using them to reinforce our identity. But when we let go of the ego, we begin to dissolve the pain body. We stop identifying with our past hurt, and instead, we embrace the present moment with acceptance and peace. A common misconception about letting go of the ego is that it means abandoning our sense of self. This could not be further from the truth. Letting go of the ego is not the same as losing ourselves. Rather, it is about letting go of the false beliefs that we hold about ourselves. When we drop these layers of attachment, we can experience our true essence, which is beyond the ego. It's the unchanging, ever-present awareness that connects us to the universe. In the book, Tolle invites us to experience life as it is, without the lens of the ego. Instead of seeing the world through the filter of I and me, we begin to experience it in a state of pure presence. This requires letting go of our need to constantly compare ourselves to others, and instead focusing on what is here and now. Letting go of the ego is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. It's about practicing awareness every moment of the day. Tolle suggests that we can start by noticing when the ego becomes active, when we feel defensive, judgmental, or emotionally triggered, when we catch ourselves. In these moments, we can choose to observe our thoughts without judgment. Instead of identifying with the thought or emotion, we let it pass, recognizing that it is not who we truly are. One powerful tool Tolle provides for letting go of the ego is meditation. Through regular meditation, we create space between ourselves and our thoughts. We can witness the ego without getting caught up in it. Over time, This practice helps us release the false self and reconnect with our true nature. Meditation allows us to experience the present moment without the filters of the ego, and it helps us cultivate a sense of peace and stillness. Another important aspect of letting go of the ego is surrender. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to a passive life. It means accepting life as it is, without resistance. The ego is constantly fighting against what is. It resists the present moment because it wants to control everything. But when we surrender, we stop fighting. We allow life to unfold naturally, and in doing so, we open ourselves up to true freedom. When we let go of the ego, we also let go of our need for validation. The ego constantly seeks approval from others, but true freedom comes when we no longer rely on external validation. We no longer need others to tell us we are worthy or good enough. Our sense of self is no longer dependent on outside circumstances. It is anchored in the present moment and in the awareness of who we truly are. So, how do we begin the journey of letting go of the ego? The first step is awareness. We must become aware of the ego's subtle presence in our lives. We need to notice when we are reacting from a place of insecurity, pride, or fear. Once we are aware, we can start to detach from these ego thoughts and behaviors. The second step is surrender. Instead of trying to control every aspect of our lives, we begin to trust the flow of life and accept things as they are. Finally, meditation and mindfulness are essential practices for letting go of the ego. They help us stay present and cultivate awareness. Letting go of the ego is a transformative process. It's about releasing the false self and reconnecting with the essence of who we are. As we let go of the ego, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace, joy, and connection with the world around us. It's not always easy, but it is one of the most rewarding journeys we can undertake. Chapter 10. Living in the Now. The Power of Presence in the final chapter of The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle drives home the essence of the book, living in the present moment. If you've made it this far, you're already on the path to a deeper understanding of your consciousness. But the true transformation, Tal explains, comes when we embrace the present moment fully, without being pulled into the regrets of the past or the anxieties about the future. Tal introduces a key idea here. The only moment that truly exists is the now. The past and future are merely mental constructs, and while our minds are constantly drifting between them, the present moment is where life is actually happening. To live fully, we must anchor ourselves in the now, embracing the richness of each moment without distraction. So why is living in the now so powerful? First, it offers a sense of liberation. When we stop worrying about the past and future, we release the mental burden that keeps us in a state of constant stress. The present moment is where true peace resides, and by living in it, we can begin to experience life without the weight of judgment and anticipation. Think about it. How often do we live in our heads rather than fully experiencing what's around us? We're either rehashing something that happened or worrying about what's to come. Tal argues that this constant mental activity keeps us from being fully engaged with our own lives. When we detach from the need to think constantly, we open ourselves to the beauty of the present moment. Living in the now doesn't mean ignoring our responsibilities or never thinking about the future. It's about cultivating awareness and mindfulness so that we can act in the present moment without allowing distractions to overwhelm us. Tal encourages us to experience life directly, not through the filter of our minds. Instead of constantly analyzing situations or dwelling on past experiences, we simply become aware of what is happening in the moment and accept it as it is. One of the most profound aspects of living in the now is the dissolution of the sense of separation. When we are fully present, we stop seeing ourselves as separate from others and the world. The boundaries between I and them begin to blur, and we experience a sense of oneness. This is why Tao often speaks about the importance of consciousness, which is beyond the mind. When we tap into the present moment, we become connected to a universal consciousness that transcends individual identity. A practical way to start living in the now is through mindful awareness. Whether you're walking down the street, eating a meal, or talking to a friend, bring your full attention to the activity. Don't just go through the motions, but really experience it. Notice the sensations, the colors, the sounds, the textures, and the emotions that arise. This practice brings you into alignment with the present moment and allows you to feel fully alive. Another tool that Tao shares is the power of silence. In our busy, noisy world, we're constantly bombarded by external stimuli, but silence offers a space where we can reconnect with the present, whether through meditation, nature walks, or simply sitting quietly for a few minutes. Silence allows us to let go of the constant mental chatter and return to the now. Tao also discusses the role of acceptance. To live in the now, we must accept what is. This doesn't mean resigning ourselves to a life of passivity, but rather allowing life to unfold without resistance. When we resist the present moment, we create suffering, but when we accept it, we allow ourselves to be in harmony with the flow of life. Acceptance isn't about passivity. It's about recognizing that everything is as it should be in this moment. Even if we don't understand it, living in the now also means recognizing that we are not our thoughts. The mind is a tool, but it doesn't define who we are. We are not the sum of our thoughts, but rather the awareness that observes them. This realization frees us from the tyranny of the mind and allows us to experience life from a place of stillness and clarity. For example, if you're dealing with a stressful situation, you don't have to let your thoughts take over. You can simply observe them and return to the present moment. You don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. Instead of getting caught in the story your mind is creating, you can experience the situation as it is. This shift in perspective gives you control over your responses and enables you to respond to challenges with equanimity. Another way to stay anchored in the now is to cultivate a sense of gratitude. When we're present, we begin to appreciate the beauty around us, the simple things we often overlook. The warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the feeling of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. When you focus on these things, you begin to experience the richness of the present moment. Gratitude also shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already here, enhancing your ability to stay grounded. As we come to the close of The Power of Now, Tao leaves us with an essential message. Life can only be lived in the present. The past is a memory, and the future is an illusion. When we release our attachment to these concepts and surrender to the now, we experience life in its fullest, most authentic form. Living in the now is not just a mental exercise. It's a practice that requires commitment and awareness. The more we practice, the more we experience the joy, peace, and clarity that come with embracing the present moment. This chapter is the culmination of the book's message. When we fully embrace the now, we step into our true power. By stepping out of the mind's constant chatter and into the present moment, we find a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. And in this place, all things become possible. The power of now is not just a book, it's a way of life. The journey towards presence is a lifelong practice, and as we continue on this path, we discover a deeper connection with ourselves, others, and the world around us.